Good evening, it's 6 o'clock, it's Saturday the 1st of March and welcome to our Saturday evening news programme coming to you live from the heart of Wyke Regis. And in the news this week, on the 27th of February, the Environment Agency granted an application for a permit to operate a new non-hazardous waste incinerator in Portland Port. Following a number of consultations, the agency agreed that Powerful Portland Limited had met all of the necessary criteria needed for the environmental permit to be given for the proposed incinerator. Where an application meets the requirements of the Environmental Permitting Regulations 2016, the agency must issue a permit. Conditions have been set in the permit on emissions and their monitoring, operation of the plant and the amount and type of waste to be accepted. The permit limits the waste that can be incinerated to refuse-derived fuel that is produced from domestic municipal solid waste and commercial and industrial waste unsuitable for recycling. The granting of the environmental permit will not impact on the outcome of the judicial review into planning permission for the site. Dorset Council leader Nick Ireland has responded as follows. I'm deeply disappointed that the Environmental Agency has decided to grant a permit for the proposed waste incinerator on Portland. It is likely that this facility will not adhere to the government's own newly tightened rules on future waste incineration. We will continue to fight alongside the residents of Portland against the incinerator. It is not needed, and even if it were, a UNESCO World Heritage Site is entirely the wrong location for it. Let's get the right picture up. Plans to convert a disused church in Wyke Regis into a block of 6 flats with no parking has been met with a backlash from residents, with one resident describing it as ridiculous. Dorset Council has, however, given approval to the controversial proposals, despite hearing countless objections from residents near the site on Portland Road in Wyke Regis. Wyke Regis Methodist Church, which has been shut since 2021, will be turned into 1 and 2 bedroom flats with an outside amenity area to the rear, but it has no designated area for parking and only a store for bikes. Originally rejected by Dorset Council when proposed last year, councillors and neighbours were concerned that more flats with no car parking spaces would push the already stretched parking to breaking point in Wyke Regis. Despite not solving the issue of parking, in an appeal from developers, the council decided to give the plans the go-ahead, saying it was near facilities and a bus route. Residents in nearby streets are worried that without clear parking, refuge streets will become even more congested and fear contractors' vehicles during the flat's construction will be dangerous to children. The most concentrated area of fear was on Victoria Road, which is a non-through road with heavy parking already on both sides of the road and leading to the rear entrance of Wyke Regis Junior School. Following the announcement that Chief Executive Matt Prosser will be leaving Dorset Council in March to take up a new role as Chief Executive of Wellington City Council in New Zealand, a rigorous selection process has taken place to find his successor. Applications closed on Sunday the 23rd of February and there has been significant interest in the role, which has seen more than 130 people applying for the post. Shortlisted candidates will face a rigorous assessment process, including technical exercises and stakeholder panels. A staffing committee made up of councillors representing all political groups on the council will recommend the appointment of the next chief executive, and the final decision will be made at the meeting of the full council on the 10th of April. Interim arrangements will be in place from the 1st of March with Sam Crowe, who you can see in the picture, who's Director of Public Health, taking up the role until a permanent successor is in place. Having been part of the senior leadership team since 2019, Sam will provide stability to the organisation and ensure the council continues to operate in a smooth, safe and legal way in the interim period. Now, a £250,000 project to restore a historic Weymouth Town Centre landmark has been completed. DJ Property has finished a 9-month project on the old rectory building in St Thomas Street, Weymouth. One of Weymouth's most iconic historic buildings, the Grade 2 listed building, has finally seen the scaffolding around it removed. Developers now say that the building is now structurally sound and watertight and preserves its historic character for the future. With the exterior restoration now complete, the property firm is now focused on bringing the building, previously a pub restaurant, back into active use after it stood empty for more than a decade. Initially earmarked as the future home of a Jurassic Coast visitor centre and museum, plans for the site changed after the trust proposing the venture failed to secure lottery funding. With these plans no longer moving forward, DJ Property is actively exploring new opportunities for the building's use. During the restoration, original features once described by renowned author J. Mead Faulkner, that's the author that wrote Moonfleet, who spent part of his childhood there, were discovered. Weymouth Town Council has issued a news release detailing their recent decisions by the full council, and these include consultation of a draft neighbourhood plan that is currently being consulted on by Dorset Council. The council have adopted a new cemeteries policy. It sets out how the council manages the town's cemeteries, a project to digitise records to make them available online, details of the living cemetery areas, and includes plans for improved signage allowing people to find graves more easily. They've also given out details of 2 contracts for the running of the Beach Cafe and the Prom Cafe, which have recently awarded and been given 10-year leases to both operators. Once the contracts have been signed, the intention is to have the new tenants operate in both kiosks ahead of the busy summer season. Also, news on a procurement exercise run for Weymouth beach attractions, and members agreed to award the individual a 5-year contract, and an agreement has been given for an observation wheel to be sited on the beach opposite Alexander Gardens, and for attractions at sites A3, A4 and A5 to merge into one unified site. The plans feature a mix of both traditional and modern attractions, including the return of the iconic Helter Skelter. Dorset Council is consulting on 2 new proposed public space protection orders designed to help tackle heathland fires and antisocial overnight camping on areas such as Studland Beach. These are the Dorset Open Land PSPO, Public Service Protection Order. This aims to extend controls on the lighting of fires on open land, particularly in areas of open heathland. It addresses issues of antisocial behaviour related to starting fires in grass, heathland and forest areas. And the Dorset Beaches, in brackets Studland, Public Spaces Protection Order that extends the control on camping on beaches throughout Dorset to the Studland Beach. It would also make it an offence to camp on designated land without permission from the landowner or when asked to leave. This measure is in response to issues of wild camping on Dorset beaches, which have led to increased nuisance complaints, property damage and complaints of waste left on the beaches. The current orders covering the other locations in Dorset Council are set to expire in June this year and are likely to be extended for another 3 years. Dorset Museum is one of 29 museums across the country to be awarded by the Arts Council England a share of £25 million from the government's Museum Estate and Development Fund, or MEND for short. So that's a very good acronym, whoever came out with that. Museum Estates and Development Fund, MEND. The museum's share amounts to over £940,000, which will replace the roof over the Victorian Hall, library and offices, while also repairing the leadwork and windows which have been identified as urgent in a survey carried out in January 2024. Owned by the Dorset Natural History and Archaeological Society, the museum houses internationally significant collections, including 4 million artefacts in archaeology, paleontology, the Thomas Hardy Archive and the Elizabeth Frink Collection. The funding is in addition to £1.2 million funding from the National Lottery Heritage Fund and Dorset Council. A major awareness campaign has been launched across Dorset to warn residents that persistent heartburn could be a sign of something far more serious than just indigestion. Heartburn Cancer UK, in partnership with NHS Wessex Cancer Alliance, is highlighting the link between persistent heartburn and food pipe or esophageal cancer, one of the UK's deadliest cancers, often diagnosed too late due to missed early warning signs. Persistent heartburn can be more than discomfort. It could be a warning sign of cancer of the food pipe. Now, some of the facts are of food pipe cancer. It's a killer that hides in plain sight. Cancer of the esophagus is deadly, especially for men. It's the 7th biggest cancer killer in the UK and the 4th biggest for men. It's a cancer that hides in plain sight. People often dismiss the main symptoms of heartburn or indigestion, not realising it's a warning sign that should be properly checked. Now, many people mask the symptoms with over-the-counter remedies such as Gaviscon or Rennie rather than seeking medical advice. However, for some, these symptoms could indicate a precancerous condition, which if found can be monitored, or even undiagnosed cancer. As part of this life-saving initiative, Heartburn Cancer UK, along with team members from NHS Wessex Cancer Alliance, which covers Dorset, Hampshire and the Isle of Wight, will host a community awareness roadshow in Weymouth, they have hosted, a community awareness roadshow in Weymouth this last week. The joint team were outside the White Hart in New Bond Street on the 26th of February, and they will also be publishing information online as part of this awareness campaign. Now, building on the success of previous hugely popular events, the Family Science Day will be taking place again this year at Dorset Museum and Art Gallery on Sunday, the 16th of March, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. It is a free event, but it is ticketed to obviously make sure not too many people turn up. So you do need to make sure that you do book a ticket online, and it's designed to bring out the Marie Curie or the Albert Einstein in you. It's aimed at children aged 4+, but with something for people of all ages to enjoy. Family Science Day will include over 20 different stalls from a range of scientific disciplines to allow you to get involved in some fantastic hands-on learning and experiments. There will be a great range of activities hosted by local scientists, allowing you to try all sorts of investigations, find out how physics plays a part in everyday life, discover the invisible world of microbes, explore the biodiversity of the natural world, discover how magnets and gravity work, test your knowledge of water systems, fossils and seaweed, and even handle a 250 million year old meteorite. Entrance is strictly by ticket, obtainable from the Dorset Museum and Art Gallery website at dorsetmuseum.org. That's dorsetmuseum.org. Now, As One Theatre Company is looking for VE Day memories from communities of Weymouth, Portland and Dorchester and the surrounding villages in between. Although there are a few living who will remember being there, it's known that there are some wonderful people aged in their 90s and 100s still with these stories to tell, or their descendants who have treasured memories, letters, diaries or books of loved ones. Maybe schools could ask their pupils to gather stories from their family as a legacy. The theatre company will, with their permission, professionally record them, reading their legacy story for an exhibition at the Knowth Fort and to be lodged at the Dorset History Centre for a living history voiced resource for future researchers to have access to. You can contact the group via their website, which is as-one-theatre, that's ONE theatre.co.uk. So as-one-theatre.co.uk with one in text. ONE, not the number one. The coroner for Dorset is asking for assistance again this week in seeking members of the public to help find the next of kin of a man who lived in Weymouth. Barry Ayres, who was 66-year-old, and died at his home address in Rodwell Road on Monday the 24th of February. His death is not being treated as suspicious and no police investigation is needed. And the coroner's office says if any member of the public has any knowledge of his family members or next of kin, please contact the coroner's office as soon as possible on 01202 123 900. That's 01202 123 900. That's family or next of kin of Barry Ayres, 66-year-old, of Rodwell Road in Weymouth. Now, Dorset Blind Association is inviting visually impaired adults of working age to join their activities and welcoming community. This group offers not only social activities but also practical and emotional support to help navigate life with sight loss. The group offers exciting opportunities to stay active and connected, from pub lunches and bowling to kayaking, acoustic shooting and even driving a dual-control car on an airfield. But beyond the activities is the friendship, shared experiences and mutual support that make the club so valuable. A comment from one of the people says, one of the hardest things about sight loss is feeling isolated, says Graney Barry, who's the DBA community support worker. This group helps people regain confidence, build friendships and find reassurance from others who really understand the challenges of living with sight loss. The peer support within the group is just as important as the activities themselves. Now, the group meets regularly at different locations across Dorset, making it easy to get involved. Whether you're newly diagnosed or have been living with sight loss for years, you'll find a warm welcome and the chance to meet people who genuinely understand. Now, to find out more, you can contact Graney, who's the community support worker, at Graney, that's Grainne, Grainne, at dorsetblind.org.uk. Graney at dorsetblind.org.uk. And finally, in the headlines this week, a first in the county of Dorset, the arboralists, so it's people that interested in trees, arboralists will stage their 40th exhibition at Sculpture by the Lake Gallery, Pallington, near Dorchester. This exquisite, popular rural venue shares ecological aims and values with the group and its harmony with the landscape. 30 arboralists will show 1 to 3 works, each of diverse approaches, mediums, scales and styles, unified by the subject. The exhibition runs from the 22nd of March to the 19th of April, and the venue also includes an excellent cafe. The Arborists, founded in 2014, comprise 50 professional artists who celebrate trees. The group's inaugural exhibition in 2014 at the Royal West of England Academy, Bristol, attracted national media attention, with the Telegraph describing it as spellbinding. This new show of 40 selected works has been curated by the group's founder, artist and curator Tim Craven, and artist Paul Newman, creative director of the Dorset Visual Arts based at Sherborne House. So that's coming up, and we'll remind you of that in the weeks ahead. Now, it's now time in this week's programme to go over to Andrew Wright for this week's film review and preview.
Welcome to White Regis TV Film Review and Preview. I'm Andrew Wright. Releasing in UK cinemas this weekend is the independent drama film The Last Showgirl. The film stars Pamela Anderson, Jamie Lee Curtis, Billy Lord and Dave Bautista. The film revolves around a middle-aged Las Vegas showgirl who is faced with an uncertain future after learning that the revuee she has performed in for 3 decades is scheduled to close. The film received positive reviews from critics who praised the performances, and in fact Jamie Lee Curtis was nominated for a BAFTA and a SAG award in supporting actress categories, and Pamela Anderson was nominated for a SAG award and a Golden Globe. So SAG is a Screen Actors Guild. And so there was a couple of nominated performances in the awards season circuit. The Last Showgirl is in UK cinemas now. This week, Attack on Titan: The Last Attack was released in UK cinemas. It was released on the 26th, I believe. The film is a compilation of the two-part finale of the anime series with alternate universe scenes as a post-credit scene. The film stars voice actors Yuki Kaji, Yui Ishikawa, Marina Inoue, and Hiroshi Kamiya. The film takes place immediately after the events of Attack on Titan: The Final Season Part 2, and focuses on Eren Yeager unleashing the ultimate power of the Titans and the founding Titan to protect Eldia by destroying Marley, with his former comrades desperately trying to stop him. So, if you followed the anime series, it's about the rumbling that they've been building, that they built up to across the whole final season. The film is rated quite highly by anime fans, and it's obviously quite emotional considering it's the end. I haven't seen the film, but it's a confirmation of the anime's finale, and I've seen that, so it'll be pretty much just the exact same thing. So it's pretty much just the exact same thing. And I thought the finale it's well animated and well acted, because a lot of these actors, they know how to put in great performances with the Attack on Titan cast. But ultimately, I felt like Attack on Titan it ultimately just drowns under the weight of its own sprawling mythology. It doesn't really deliver on the promise of the initial premise, which is that, Eren Yeager's this kid, has some traumatic stuff happen to him in the beginning, and then he wants to kill all the Titans. So, doesn't really deliver on. So the ending doesn't really deliver on all that, as you can see, Eren's taken a bit of a heel turn. He's become the villain. So if I was rating the movie, I would give it about 3.5 stars. I've not really been a fan of the final season, the story, kind of the more mythology they add, the weaker it gets. But yeah, by the time you see this recording, there'll probably be limited showings left to see Attack on Titan: The Last Attack. But I would definitely recommend going and see it in subbed weight if you can. That's all I have for this week, but be sure to check back next week where it'll be a busy week. I'll be reviewing Gladiator 2, Megalopolis, Lord of the Rings: The War of Rohirrim. Now back to Gary in the studio.
Thank you very much there, Andrew. It's now time in this week's programme to go over to the Met Office for the Saturday evening weather forecast, and this week we are joined by Craig Snell.
Hello there, welcome to your latest weather forecast from the Met Office. The settled spell is expected to continue as we go through the second half of the weekend for most of us, as high pressure generally remains in charge. We will continue to see some further weather fronts move in across the north from time to time. As they bump up into the area of high pressure, they will weaken as they move across the country. Towards the middle part of the week, we start to see maybe some subtle changes. The high pressure begins to move a little bit further away from the UK. That may allow more in the way of frontal systems to move across the country. But before we get there, plenty of settled weather to come. So as we move into Saturday evening, a fine end to the day across many parts of England and Wales. The weak weather front, which has been moving across northern parts during the course of the day, will continue to just gradually sink its way a little bit further southward. Still the risk of a few spits and spots of rain across northern England, but for most of us, it is just really an area of cloud. We will see a few mist and fog patches come Sunday morning, chiefly East Anglia, South East England, and maybe parts of Northern Ireland and southern Scotland. And under the clear skies, it's going to be another cold and frosty one, especially in the southern half of the UK, to see temperatures widely below freezing. But it's here where tomorrow morning we'll see a lovely sunny start once any early frost and fog clears. That area of cloud across northern England will also gradually break up a little bit, so hopefully a little bit more in the way of sunshine to come here. And then for Scotland and Northern Ireland, after a bright start, skies will start to turn increasingly hazy ahead of this next band of rain, which will probably arrive into the very far northwest of Scotland come the end of the afternoon. For most of us, temperatures very similar to what we have seen on Saturday, highs generally reaching around 9 to 11 degrees. And I think in the sunshine, once again, it will feel pleasant enough out there for the time of year. Into the evening, the band of rain will sink its way southeastwards, initially heavy across the higher ground and accompanied by a freshening wind, but as it approaches Northern Ireland and Northern England, it will gradually become a much weaker affair, with the rain becoming much more patchy. To the south of it, still loads of clear sky around, so another cold and frosty one to come. So as we start Monday morning, temperatures widely below freezing here. To the north of it, a little bit milder, so I think any frost will be very limited across the northern half of the country. So Monday, another lovely sunny day once any early frost and fog clears across the south. Very little change going on during the course of the day here. That weather front will once again just be weakening as it progresses a little bit further southward. So again, just really a zone of cloud as it moves across northern England. And then to the north of it, brighter skies return across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. Could see a few showers, especially across the very far north of the country. But I think for most of the UK, we do start the new working week on a relatively dry note. Temperatures on Monday widely into double figures. Could see highs reaching 10, 11, possibly 12 degrees in a few spots. But you can find out more weather details where you live on our website or on our app. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube. But from me for now, take care, and I'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Craig. And it's now time to look at the weather for the South Dorset area for the coming week. And we can see we've got quite a nice week ahead, certainly until Friday. Be fresher at night, but sunny spells all week. So a nice week if you fancy a nice walk out and about this week. Let's hope the weather forecast is accurate this week ahead. Turning to what's on, first of all, Weymouth Pavilion, 2nd of March, Rock Orchestra by Candlelight, 3rd of March, the film Conclave, 4th of March, the film Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. On the 6th of March, Fred Dinenage talking about Ronnie, Reggie and me. 7th of March, Gareth Gates, a tribute to Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons. 9th of March, Anton de Beck at the Musicals. And 13th of March, Money for Nothing, the Dire Straits tribute. Quite a mix there coming up in the next couple of weeks. More information on the Pavilion website, weymouthpavilion.com, or where you can buy tickets, or give the box office a call on 01305 783 225. Now looking to the Knowth Fort Science Weekend, next Saturday the 8th and Sunday the 9th, 10:30 to 4. Join them in celebrating British Science Week, as the Knowth Fort will be hosting a fun and immersive science weekend full of activities and demonstrations for all the family to enjoy. So that's at the Knowth Fort. And then Saturday the 22nd and Sunday the 23rd of March is the Victorian Children's Weekend, where you can step back in time and see what happened back in Victorian times with games and activities for the children, plus Punch and Judy storytelling and much more. Also on Saturday the 22nd of March, the Cold War Bunker is open again from 10:30 to 4 p.m. More information on all of those at knowthfort.org.uk. Now looking to Arts Reach, quite a lot coming up fairly locally for Arts Reach. 7th of March, West End to Hollywood at the Maryland Theatre Swanage. 8th of March, The Ghost of a Smile at the Powerstock Hut. 19th of March, Pot Liquor at Royal Manor Theatre. 22nd of March, the Bookshop Band at Burton Bradstock Village Hall. 22nd of March, a Noosathan, I'm not sure I probably got that wrong, at Broadmain Village Hall. 28th of March, the Tukey Plastic Man at Portersham Village Hall. Lots of other things going on. Those are just a selection fairly close to us here. You can find out more information about all of those and buying tickets online and see all the other events throughout Dorset that are coming up that are organised by Arts Reach on their website artsreach.co.uk. Now, if you like a nice little orchestra stroke band, the renowned orchestra, the Pasadena Roof Orchestra, will bring the sound of the 20s and 30s to Dorchester next Saturday, the 8th of March, at the Hardy Theatre. I think that's based at the Hardy School. So it's the Hardy Theatre at Queen's Avenue. 7:30. Tickets are £26, but there are discounts for members of Dorchester Arts and for concessions. So students and old age pensioners, I guess. Now, more details about that on the Dorchester Arts website, dorchesterarts.org.uk. That's the Pasadena Roof Orchestra next Saturday, March the 8th. Also to say that I've heard from Clive Gray in the last couple of days to say that he's about to start his 2025 season of gardening programmes, a year gardening with Clive Gray. So do look out for those. We'll be broadcasting those as soon as they are available. Finally, talking to church services in White and the associated area tomorrow. Communion at All Saints Church, 8 o'clock. Cafe Church, the family sort of friendly informal worship, 9:30 at All Saints Church, and then St Edmund's Church Communion at 11 o'clock. Last thing to say is our other programme tonight is our Saturday evening quiz. That will start promptly at 7:30 with the stream going live about 7:20. That is available to everybody. It's family friendly. It is free of charge, and everyone is welcome to join us at 7:30 for a quiz. That brings us to the end of this night's show. So it just remains me to say have a nice weekend. I think the weather's going to be good. So maybe you fancy going out for a walk tomorrow or doing some gardening. And hopefully the week ahead will be nice too. Hope you have a good week. And I look forward to being back with you next Saturday at 6 o'clock. Good night.